Hey, welcome back guys in a new video, and today I'm super glad because I'm gonna introduce a nice book, the Almanack from Navat, and it's gonna actually get us from I don't know how to make a good decision to oh bro, my judgment's actually peak, It's something that I can apply in my own life and that I'm sure I would crush in my business, for example, relationship, like any field that you want to work on. So welcome in this video. My name is Lucas. I'm a therapist and I'm also reviewing a lot of books that I find very pertinent, that I find accurate in my field, but also in different field, just to get you from these ideas of I don't know where I'm going or I don't know what I'm aiming for to okay, it's super clear, let's move on. So basically, I've been reading these books for the past 3 days and I've been amazed of the quality of the ideas that he literally developed in the books. And so the first ideas in the book is being very judgmental. So it's kind of weird because a lot of people today are like, oh, don't be so judgmental, or don't put criticize or judgment on things. But for Navat, it's very clear that you don't get paid per like hourly rate, or you don't get paid even for your expertise. Sometimes you get paid for the judgment. So how many hours you worked didn't really matter if the decision that you make along the day won't get you to the point that you want. So that's the first thing. It's very important. And so the question to ask in this case is why you should also nail off first the basics, the foundation in your field, instead of trying to dig into the very conceptual and hard concept in your field. So he answered this by a very simple, pieces of information. He always says that you have to be like Feinem. So Feinem is a physician. He's also like a professor at university. I don't remember the university, but anyway, he's one of the most renowned physicians that we know today. And so he actually wrote a book. It's called Six Easy Pieces, And in this book, he really explained the foundation of physics to a 6-year-old boy, which is super simple to understand. And so for Navat, it's very clear that a smart thinker is a clear thinker. So if you can't articulate ideas in a simple way with some simple words of English, you're actually trying to, we say brainstorming yourself or trying to pumping your ego, whereas you don't really understand the foundation in your field. So if I say nail off those very fundamentals, if you're a physician, chemistry, a psychologist, you say just read the basics. You want to know about economy, you can read Adam Smith, or if you want to know about communism, read Marx. So he said don't go, because today there's a lot of trends where everybody wants to read the new books or the new release, the new fancy things. He said don't go for the fancy pens, go for the very basic stuff, which is I want to get to evolutionary, for example, naturalism. Darwin is actually a good reference in the field, and I just read the basics. Once I understand those basics, I can go to maybe higher complex theory that may understand some of the things, but keep in mind that, as he said, it's less proven. You don't really know. So some of the very hard concepts in philosophy, physics, math are not very proven. So a lot of the times just gonna be like, okay, just for the sake of knowing, but you won't very be practical, you won't really apply it in your own field, which at the end of the day is not maybe the best decision you can make for yourself and for your intellectual growth. The second question is how to deal with decision making. And for Naval, it boils down to dealing with reality. So being absolutely the closer from reality. And it takes some wisdom. And he explained that wisdom is just trying to remove the filter and that can think of layer of like cloudy mental breakthrough where you see reality as it is. And for him, seeing reality is very simple. It's actually putting down kind of your desires, trying to reduce as much as possible every desires that you have, because your desires are actually getting you biased into what reality is. And he say, we don't do business in politics, we do business. Politics is something else. Politics is how to trigger desires in someone's mind so that, of course, you want to get eventually something back so that he can vote for you, for example. So, you will get favor from this person. Business is completely different. Business is rough And in a sense, that's what he explained. Someone that actually can see reality as it is, as not as I wish I want, or I wish it could be different, makes a drastic difference. And so for Naval, he has a very simple stuff that he explained. Of course, meditation helps a lot. That's what he said, because meditation is putting you in the present. You don't crave for a futuristic goal or a futuristic purpose that eventually will get you happy. So when you're in business and you're dealing with something that could please your ego, you're just actually trying to avoid it, because you're like, it's actually a sign that it may not be me that really wants these things, or it may not be the right direction, it may not be the right decision to make, but it may be my ego's trigger, because it feels very seductive at first, It feels something that I could be attracted to, but on the long term consequence of that, and he explained that wisdom for him is actually making decision on the long term. The long-term decision is actually more important than just the short-term decision. So if you want also business with someone for the whole life, don't do business one day with this person. That's what he explained. If you don't see yourself having this relationship from, 10, 20, 25, 30 years, just don't do business today, because it won't work out. So that's also a very key element of what Naval thoughts about business and decision making. So coming back to ego, he also explained these ideas that stress, tension is who you think you should be, whereas relaxation is who you really be. And this is a Buddhism saying. And through this, he explained that a lot of time we actually tint reality with our egos. And so it gets us in so many different traps. So for him, that very much capacities to dealing with our ego, which is also something that, is formed in our formative years, which is from 3, 5, 7, 8. And, after, when we have this sense of identity, we actually discover that we can crave for things, or we can obtain things by asking people. And so this gets us to these very self-centered ideas that you want to get things for yourself. You don't want to share the pie. And for Naval, that's the greatest mistake, because the short term would be beneficial, on the short term, you can get something from this person. But on the long term, it wouldn't pay off. Because, of course, it would create resentment. It would create a lot of anger in some way. Maybe sadness, because you've been cutting off, the bond, or you'll be cutting off maybe this relationship because of business. And that's not something that he wishes for us human beings in some way. So that's one of the key elements of these entire thoughts, is trying to reduce this ego, tries to reduce this stress. You don't need to be stressed. You can be completely relaxed. You can articulate ideas. You can also make your business without thinking about what it's gonna be, just by dealing with the reality on every single period. And so that's why he doesn't also believe in goals, because goals are actually projection from our ego of what should be, but what is not. And so that's something that he insists on. He said, instead of building goals, try to build systems, because system remains. And system is not based on ego, it's based on habits. And if you have some good habits, you can make sure that in 5, 10, 20 years, if you keep up, of course, you're gonna have a very good consequence on the long run. You don't have to ask your question, what would be my goal, So if you carry on doing business for the next 5 to 10 years, most likely you'll succeed. And it's not because you set your goal, because everybody can have the same goal. An athlete he wants to be an Olympic champion, or a businessman wants to get, 100K a month. Everybody can have the same goal. But not everyone is able to actually build systems around those goals, and making the whole identity of I'm a businessman and my only things that I have to do today is maybe having a session of 4 hours of deep work from 6 to 10 in the morning. That's a system. You don't build goals, you're actually building a system, and it makes the whole difference at the end of the day. One of the last ideas of those judgment is actually making ground judgment of reading. So he's very keen, reading. He's keen on reading. He loves this. He's a book lover. That's why he explained. He said books very get him to another level in life, and he's reading about any field. And that's also something he invites us to do, reading about math, science, economy. So those very, let's say, basic foundational field, they're proven by science. and that will give us that very analytical thoughts and way of thinking. And so that's a very interesting concept. He also say, don't be guilty about not finishing reading a book or just flipping a few pages and throwing the books away. He said if you actually have a goal that you want to get a certain pieces of information and that you're getting from the book and that you're able to apply it in your life, and you make maybe 1 to 2% growth, it may be in your business, it may be in your health, it may be in your relationship, however, and whatever the criteria are, is said, that's a success. You don't need to read the whole books. And so he also said that 1 hour a day of reading is one of the most beneficial things that we can do. And not just for the sake of having more knowledge, but just for the sake of having this sharp attention on a very hard, complex topic. It can be physics, for example. When you say physics, it can be very quite hard to, grasp, or, there is a lot of different pieces of information we're not familiar with. It said you grab your attention for 1 hour on this topic, and after day by day, you understand things completely differently. And so it shapes actually new connection in your brain. It shapes new connection to understand that if you're familiar with physics, you can be easier familiar with psychology. And then you can relate those two different domains, those two different fields. And I found this idea is absolutely, it was groundbreaking to me, quite frankly, because I haven't used to be these guys that I always, wanted to finish the book and being like, oh, okay, if I don't finish this book, means I bought it for nothing. It's always that perception about money. Now I'm like, okay, if I find a book interesting and I buy it and I don't find maybe the ideas matching with my original expectation or about things that I can apply practically in my life, that's fine. I just throw the books away, and maybe later in 5 years, maybe 10 years, I just grab this book back and be like, oh, I remember these ideas. Maybe I should really go deep into it right now. So thank you guys for watching this video. Hopefully it's gonna help you. I'm gonna make a series on this book. I've been very terse because I wanted to try also that very genuine and intimist format of just speaking in front of my camera, no script, just my thoughts, just things that I remember from the book. And there's also a grand benefits for me to do this kind of videos because I don't have to script. And AI is gonna script for me anyway. That's how the world is thinking today. And I think speaking in front of a camera, improving this kind of posture is much more important in this economy. So that's why I'm doing this, moreover in English, so it's more challenging. But I'm very glad, guys, if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel. And I would say just see you on the next video. Bye-bye.